Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. I think I say that at the beginning of every video. I'm sure you know it's me now, and where I'm from. Royal Ascot Day 2, let's go through who I like for the different races tomorrow. And we'll start off with the first race, the Queen Mary Stakes, the 5 furlong Group 2 for fillies. And the horse that I will be on here is the Carl Burke trained Leah Vanni. Now, I think there's a few interesting things about this horse. First of all, James Doyle was booked to ride at Nottingham and has been booked to ride again. And Wathnan Racing own it. They want winners. They're buying everybody, aren't they? They're buying so many different horses, really trying to make their way into racing. And they're trying to buy horses that can win them races at Royal Ascot and at the big meetings. Now, I know Leah Vanni was not a recent purchase. They already had Leah Vanni. But she was obviously bought and clearly possessed a lot of ability. And the fact that she went off 6-4 favourite for that Nottingham maiden. There was 11 runners in there. For Carl Burke to have a 6-4 favourite, I know it probably didn't feature some of the big name trainers. There was no John Gosden's, there was a William Haggar's horse. There was obviously no Aidan O'Brien's because it wasn't in Ireland. But he still went off 6-4. He went relatively forward. She went relatively forward, and was far too good for her rivals, winning by 2 1/4 lengths. Now, I know the runner-up has not franked the form. It didn't look great effort last time, next time by Sunshine Style, but that wasn't her running, I'm sure. We know, James is going to jump out and be relatively prominent or pretty prominent on Leah Vanni. Over 5 furlongs, you're going to want to be. A lot of these are going to still be green. The fact that she was so clued up on her debut, it really impressed me, to be honest. It was only 2 weeks ago, so I think she'll be, still in good form. She's been off for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and may come and not know what she's doing. Second time up, I think she'll have stepped forward for that run. And I really like Leah Vanni here. I think Wathnan Racing, I'm calling it Wathnan. Is that how you say it? Anyone, please do correct me if I'm saying that wrong. This could be the one that gets them going for Royal Ascot. I don't think I've selected one. No, I haven't on the Tuesday card. But yeah, I think this is one that is very interesting. I mean, I looked at those in behind, or in betting, for example, Make Haste and Truly Enchanting. Now, Truly Enchanting, she's Aidan O'Brien's, and they've always got to be considered. But she went off 100-30, second favourite for her debut. Now, normally, if Aidan O'Brien has a top-class horse, they get backed and they go off favourite. They know that they've got a really good horse. She didn't go off favourite. And the fact that, as I said, Leah Vanni went off so short, they knew they had a really good filly there, Carl Burke. And I think she's going to prove that she's, at this stage in their career, she is more forward than the others. Granted that some of the others could catch her up later on in the season, but I think at this stage, Leah Vanni is the... I think she's the one to beat tomorrow. And she is currently... You can see that's quite nice that it's almost 7-1 the field. You can definitely get 7-1 about Leah Vanni, though. And I think she's going to take all of the beating there. Let's move on to the 305, the Queen's Vase. And this time I am going to select an Aidan O'Brien horse. And it is going to be quite an obvious one, to be honest. Illinois. Yeah, Illinois. Short price favourite, but form is very good. Even third last year behind Los Angeles has proven good form. Stunning Peach was second, good form. This season came back with a moderate run in the Ballysacks, finishing third when sent off the 8-11 favourite. That was a little bit disappointing over a mile and 2, but the ground might have been against the horse that day. It was very heavy going. But then last time out, a much better run, finishing second in the Derby trial at Lingfield, when I don't think the track really suited Illinois. And I thought he was going to get quite comfortably beaten, and yet he kept battling late on after Ambient Friendly went past. Now, Ambient Friendly has obviously ran a really good race in the Derby, finishing second to City of Troy. I think they know Aidan O'Brien will have an idea as to how good City of Troy is. They think City of Troy is exceptional. And I think this track will suit Illinois better. I think, I think that form is proper Group 1 form, personally. Illinois could easily be in a Group 1 and potentially finish third behind City of Troy and Ambient Friendly if they'd run in like all three of them had run in the Derby. They drop into this Group 2. They have the second favourite as well in Highbury. I think they've probably, they know that they've got two very strong contenders there, and I think Ryan's picked the right one, hasn't he? He's picked the one that probably is a Group 1 horse running in a Group 2. And you can get, what price can you get about Illinois? You can get 9-4 about Illinois. I mean, they've actually got one of the full favourite and look, they've got Grosvenor Square, they've got the Equator, Highbury and Illinois. I think they're just running them all here to see who's in where they all are in the pecking order. But I think Illinois is at the top of that pecking order here. And this is just, we might as well win this as we can, sort of thing. Moving on to the 345, the Duke of Cambridge Stakes. And I went through this race and I really struggled to find the right angle for the race. And I think the angle is Rogue Millennium. Rogue Millennium won this race last year. Sorry, I got distracted there. Yes, she won this race last year. She beat Random Harvest by a neck. I don't see it being any harder this year. I think her subsequent efforts were good, including her second to Tahira in the Justify Matron Stakes, the Group 1. I mean, that's Group 1 form. A couple of disappointing runs. At Longchamp, probably too far. At Ascot, the ground was too soft. Returned with a perfectly satisfactory effort in the Group 2, the Landwade's Stud Stakes at the Curragh. Joseph O'Brien has taken over. Yeah, I think Rogue Millennium will go really close, to be honest. I couldn't see where the Group 1 horses were that were in this race, as in who could beat Rogue Millennium then, who's better than Rogue Millennium and the field last year. And I couldn't find anyone that I felt was better than the field last year, and with that in mind, I think Rogue Millennium's going to take all of the beating again. That was quite a straightforward one in the end. After going through the field trying to find something against Rogue Millennium, I couldn't. And you can get 7-2 about Rogue Millennium, and I think Rogue Millennium is the one to beat here. Moving on to the 425. I really like Inspiral. Really like her. I don't know whether I like her over this trip. I think it's the wrong decision. I think they should have been running in that Queen Anne. I think they would have had a massive chance in that Queen Anne, to be honest. It doesn't look the strongest of Queen Anne's. You could argue two of them want softer going, and Charon's not a Group 1 horse. It was a very weird decision to switch and go for this for Inspiral. I think this might stretch her, and I think the obvious one is the one that's going to win this race, and that's Auguste Rodin. When he's on form, he is on form. Now, last season he did a very weird campaign. He finished 12th of 14 in the Guineas before winning the Derby. He then won the Irish Derby, then bombed out at Ascot in the QE2 Stakes. The King George the 6th Stakes, sorry. And then won the Irish Champion Stakes. So he either won or bombed out. He then went to Santa Anita, won the Breeders' Cup, then went to Maidan and bombed out in the Dubai Shima Classic. Now, I'm hoping that actually last time was one of his poor runs. If last time was one of his poor runs, he seems to be going good and bad. If last time out was actually one of his poor runs, when he's back on form, he will absolutely wallop the field. And to be honest, I think he will. I think he'll win this quite comfortably tomorrow. I think he is the best horse in this race. He wants this trip. He does get a bit further. He's had a fitness run, whereas there's so many question marks about this trip for Innsbruck for me. And I don't think the others are good enough. I really do think that Auguste Rodin, on his day, is one of the best horses we've ever seen. But he also throws in some absolute shockers. I think with that fitness run and under his belt last time out, I think now he'll run one of his really good races. And when he does, I think he just takes all the beating here. I imagine Hans Andersen's going to go forward and set the pace for him. And yeah, I think Auguste Rodin wins this quite comfortably, to be honest. And she is available at... He is available at 7-4. You can get a couple of 7-4s. 7-4 for Auguste Rodin. We move on to the Royal Hunt Cup, the massive handicap. How many runners? 33 runners. Is there 33? Do all 33 run, or are there a few reserves we've got in at the moment? We might have reserves still in there. Just having a look. We do. We've currently got 3 reserves. Crackshot, Ferrari Lane and Staywell are reserves. Now, I'm going to put all of my eggs into one basket here. But what I mean by that is I'm going to pick 2 horses trained by the same trainer. And they are Regib and Tempest. Now, I really like Tempest. Blinkers on for the first time. Runs here off 96. Was beaten in this race last year off 109. £13 lower. Not beaten that far in 7th. Jimi Hendrix, Sonny Liston were the front 2. Bless him, Uzo, they've both done well since. Bless him keeps running his usual solid efforts. He's only down 3. Tempest down 13. He's massive. That is a huge drop. If those blinkers revive him, I think he's one of the best handicapped horses this week. But my concern is a weird concern, because I really like Tempest when ridden by Holly Doyle. Holly's not on Tempest tomorrow. Kieran Schumacher's on Tempest tomorrow. Holly Doyle has chosen to ride Regib. Now, Regib is a much bigger price. If we just have a look at the prices for this race. Let's have a look. We can see Tempest is one of these being backed, so he's available just at the moment. You can still get 14s. Regib is right down here at 33s. Now, Regib's a bit of an interesting one in the fact that the horse had been running over 1 mile and 2. It even started over 1 mile and half a furlong at Nottingham. And then they stepped him up in trip, and it didn't quite work. He never really got going. And then this season they've come back after gelding him, and they've dropped him back in trip, and he's ran 2 solid races. He finished 2nd to Hiramichi at Ripon, before then finishing 3rd to Dual Identity at Sandown. That race has worked out okay. Did Magic Memories come out and win next time? I'm just having a look. He did. The runner-up, Magic Memories, has come out and won. Dual Identity's come out and ran well at, I think he went back to Sandown Denis behind 2 Tempting, who was in the form of his life. Classic we really liked. Navaggio finished 5th in that race with Dual Identity, Magic Memories, Regib. Now, Regib didn't get the clearest of runs and didn't get the best of, not the best of rides, but didn't. The jockeys initially suggested that the gelding stumbled on the bottom bend. This was at Sandown, and if he hadn't stumbled and hadn't lost his footing, he could have well have gone really close here. And that was off 92, and he stays off 92. And it's really interesting for me that Holly's gone, yeah, I'll ride him again. I think this one, he's very, very unexposed, and he's very, very interesting if he can get his act together. Holly Doyle's back on board. They've had a couple of runs, switching to better ground. I mean, if we actually go back to his 2-year-old campaign, when he was running over a 3-year-old campaign, they ran him in a listed race. He actually got beat by Ace Impact. Okay, he was back in 6th and, about 7 lengths behind? But that form would actually give him a massive chance in this race. He's one that's just caught my eye as being one of these. He could get absolutely gambled on tomorrow and end up going off 14s, 12 to 1 sort of price. And yeah, I think Archie Watson's got 2 big, strong contenders in this race. One that looks incredibly well handicapped, back here with the blinkers on, and one who just caught my eye for being very, very unexposed, and one that I don't think they would be running here if they didn't think he could go very close. So they are Regib at 33s and Tempest at 14s. 2 to go. I've tried to keep the video a little bit more concise today. I know that some people want to hear the selections a little bit quicker, a little bit less talking, so I've tried to keep them a little bit quicker. You can let me know how I've done. Moving on to the Kensington Palace Stakes, I do like 2 in this, and I'm worried about 1. I'm not going to pick all 3, but I am going to tell you about those 3. The 2 that I will be having bets on are Vetiver, who I actually highlighted earlier this year as a horse that I don't think they would have kept her in training if they didn't think there was a lot more to come. So she did all right last season, finishing 3rd in a Group 3. She finished 5th in a Balmoral. You know, a good run at this track. That came off 98, 2 3/4 lengths, behind the winner, and runs here off a £2 lower mark. Now, this season, it didn't really happen at Doncaster in the Lincoln. Still only went off 11s. I think the ground went against her that day. And then at Lingfield, again, you know, I don't really think it all went to plan. She looked outpaced once she got in there. You know, she was right out the back, never got involved, looked outpaced. That was over 7. She's back up to a mile. She's dropping from a Group 3 back into handicap company. And I just wonder whether they felt, we've got a well-handicapped horse here. We just need things to click. It didn't in the Lincoln because of the ground. It didn't last time. It was a Group 3. They got her dropped another pound. They're back into handicap company. Sheen Murphy takes back over. Yeah, I think she could be very, very interesting here. I do think she ran a really good race for 5th at Ascot in the Balmoral handicap. When she ran okay, she was 5th. She beat Sonny Liston, she beat Latam. It was a really strong handicap. I think this is just as strong. But yeah, I felt they could have retired her at the end of last season, and they've kept her in training for something. It could be something like this, Vetiver. The second horse that I'm going to select in this race is Villanova Queen, who, let's just have a look at the price of Vetiver. Vetiver is down here. Big price. 25 to 1 about Vetiver. And the second horse that I like in this race is Villanova Queen. Villanova Queen won this last year. Won this last year off 99. Returns this year off 100. Why is the horse such a big price? She is available at 25 to 1. Why is she 25 to 1? Considering she won it last year. I mean, if horses don't like Ascot or don't perform to their ability, we know that she can, and we know that she likes it here. I think it's a mad price for last year's winner. I know she's not looked as good this season. Some of her form isn't great. But I mean, she was running in a Group 2 last time. What was she expected to do there? Time for that was a listed race. She's just back into handicap company. That's what I think could be very key to her. Since winning that handicap at Ascot, the Kensington Palace, she's been in a Group 3, Group 2, listed, Group 2. First time back into a handicap. She's dropped back from a high of 104 back down to 100. She's just a pound higher than when winning it last year. You can currently get 25s about her again. I would have no issues backing her this season. And finally, we move on to the 6:15, the Windsor Castle Stakes. Who do I like here? It is... just waiting for it to load. You might see it quicker than I do. It is the Richard Fahey trained Shadow Army. Shadow Army. Very impressive at York, despite only winning by a short head. I thought it was a very good effort. They've gone and bought, Wathan Racing have gone and bought the horse. Didn't get the clearest of runs when winning, slowly away. I'm hoping will improve for that. I'm hoping he will learn from that. Went off the 9-2 favourite, joint favourite, considering he'd not had a run. All of these things were just pointing me towards that they think the horse is very good. And I think the horse is very good. The runner-up, Shadow Army, was Francisco's Piece, who had previously won at Pontefract and then went to Chantilly to win a listed race. You know, the form is already, with just looking at the second, working out well. The third horse hasn't gone as well, went to Nottingham disappointed in a maiden stakes, having previously finished third in a Windsor novice. But I think the front two were clear. I really like Shadow Army. I like the way that the people of Wathan Racing have gone and bought the horse. They clearly want to find a winner. And the fact that another one, a Richard Fahey horse going off favourite, suggests that they believed that there was a lot of ability in the horse. There clearly was. Wathan have gone and bought it. You can get, I think, 5-1. I thought it was a very, very good effort on debut. You can get 5-1 about Shadow Army. I think he's going to be slowly away. That would be my only concern. If he's out on terms with them, I think he'll take all of the beating here. I really do. So that is my selection in the Windsor Castle. It is Shadow Army. So a quick recap of who we like and a quick recap of why. The first one is Leah Varney, or Leah Vanny. Well backed on debut. Owned by Wathan Racing. I'm hoping they can bookend the card. The form looks strong and should be able to jump out and go forward, and I think she will take a lot of catching. In the 305, the Queen's Vase, Illinois, I think could have been running a Group 1. He's good enough for a Group 1. The better ground, I think, will suit him, and Ryan has chosen to ride that out of the 4 Aidan O'Brien horses. The Duke of Cambridge, no reason to take on Rogue Millennium. I think this is a very similar level as last year, which Rogue Millennium won. Joseph O'Brien is now the trainer, and I thought it was a perfectly satisfactory comeback run. Prince of Wales, another one who I thought was a perfectly satisfactory comeback run. Auguste Rodin, still in training, which is great to see. If he puts his best foot forward, I think he wins it comfortably. Royal Hunt Cup, we're going for the 2 Archie Watson horses. One looks very unexposed and eye-catching, and that's Regib. Holly Doyle keeps the ride. And the other one is Tempest, who's £13 lower than when finishing 7th in this race last year. Kensington Palace, we stick with last year's winner, Villanova Queen, who only runs off a £1 higher mark. Back into handicap company could be key. Similarly, Vetiver, disappointed in the Lincoln when sent off 11-1. Went up in class after that. I think that was to get another run, get more fitness, and to potentially get the horse dropped another £1. That worked. Back down to 96 now. And I think she will run a really big race here. Why has she been kept in training? And finally, the Windsor Castle Stakes. Really like the new acquisition for Wathan Racing, Shadow Army. I think he's very good. James Doyle was booked to ride on debut, keeps the ride. I think he will take all of the beating as long as he can jump out on terms, because they will go very fast here.